I know this is extra, and look, I know I usually do the Champions League reactions on the main channel, but honestly, lads, last night, I think all of the games were kind of almost identical to the first legs, so I think everything I said in that video is kind of the same as what I'm going to say in this video, okay? Because there weren't massive changes in the matches, but still, a moment of silence for anyone who last night tuned into the Arsenal match instead. Like, I don't think there's ever been more of a mismatch in the quality of two Champions League games on the same night. Bayern Munich 4, Real Madrid 3, and then Arsenal and Sporting Susan playing out a goalless draw. Like, if you were a neutral and you chose to tune into the Arsenal game instead because you wanted to see an upset win, a chance to laugh at a crisis Arsenal going out to a Portuguese club, oh boy, did you pick the wrong game. No, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid was the correct choice to watch, and honestly, sizzling matchup. An absolute, one of the greatest Champions League epics of all time. But also very reminiscent of the first leg, which was also a great game, just not as many goals. But look, this was a crazy one. From Manuel Neuer, after his excellent performance in the first leg, right? Did a whole video glazing about him and saying that this is going to be the first guy to win a treble of trebles in his career, which he might yet still do, by the way. Oh no, within 40 seconds of the game kicking off, he kicks it straight to Arda Güler, who then, to be fair, smashes the first time shot into the back of the net. But oh boy, I bet Neuer wished that the earth would swallow him up and eat him like a croissant. Like, it's just horrific mistake. Horrific. And look, this man defies his age. He's 40 years old and playing excellently in Champions League quarterfinals. It's ridiculous. But that was the moment which made him look 40. Like, that's the sort of thing where, you know, sometimes 40-year-olds forget where they put their keys and spend 6 hours trying to find them in the couch. You know, something like that. Without realizing that, you know, the keys are actually in your pocket, mate. That's kind of what Neuer did last night. But then Bayern hit back. Pavlovic scores from a corner after Lunin absolutely crumbles like confetti in goal. And I've got to say, lads, if Real Madrid had the good fortune of having Thibaut Courtois in goal, the best shot stopper on the planet, I think they'd be in a Champions League semi-final. So Luna must feel his confidence must be absolutely on the floor, because you just know the mean Madrid papers and media are going to absolutely rip into this goalie. It was horrific. Like, he's getting absolutely bundled out of the way at a corner kick with ease. You're the goalkeeper, mate. You should be dominating your penalty area like Courtois would have done. Crazy. So that was a cheap goal for Pavlovic to score. And then, yeah, Güler hits back with a sizzling free kick. Again, Neuer should have kept it out. Look, Güler placed it he did well to whip it over the wall and get it on target, but it's not like it was right in the corner. And I think Neuer of last week would have absolutely tipped it around the corner. Instead, he winds up in the back of the net. And I think that's because his first mistake was probably still playing on his brain. Honestly, lads, Neuer got out of jail in this match. And then Harry Kane equalizes with a brilliant finish. Again, he's wow, what a decision to join Bayern Munich. I know when he first left Spurs, and it looked like a weird one, right? Oh, you're going to the Bundesliga to win an obvious Bundesliga title. Oh, what a hollow victory. Because I don't think anyone really gave Bayern Munich a chance in the Champions League 3 years ago when Lewandowski left. It was the Champions League winners from 2020. That team had kind of broken up. All of the 18 stars had kind of left. The likes of Thiago Alcantara were gone. I don't think anyone really thought Harry Kane was going to Bayern Munich to win a Champions League. But honestly, lads, he might well do that. And what an incredible decision to join them instead of... I remember people were saying he should have gone to Manchester United back in 2023. Like, it was nuts. People thought he was insane to leave the Premier League, choosing not to chase down Alan Shearer's record. Yeah, lads, I'm a Newcastle fan. You all know that. But yeah, I think Harry Kane is going to have his cake and eat it too. He's going to gobble it up his nose, I think. I think he's going to experience the greatest season of his life, scoring almost 60 goals as Bayern Munich win the treble, which, by the way, is absolutely Ronaldo behaviour. Like, when Kane... I remember Kane mentioned that in his Amazon documentary when he sat down with Jose Mourinho and he said to Jose, I want to reach Ronaldo Messi levels. And everyone sat at home on their couch laughing at him. Some of you probably threw ice cream at the telly. Like, it seemed... bonkers, a bonkers thought that this grubby ex-Millwall reject would grow up to even be in the same conversation as those two. Now he won't. No one ever will. But he's going to be in the conversation just below them. Just below them. The conversation where Lewandowski exists, Aguero exists, Haaland, even Thierry Henry. Like, when you speak about those players, you will speak about Harry Kane because of his goals. And I think, yeah, he's going to have a almost 60 goal season. It might be 60 goals, win the treble, and eventually come back to the Premier League when he's like 36. Spend a couple of seasons playing for, I don't know, Aston Villa. Maybe do the Andy Cole thing of trickling down the league with worse and worse clubs as he gets older. Like, I can see him joining Everton at 37, Sheffield United at 38. I can see Harry Kane playing Premier League football as a DM. Insane, right? Absolutely insane. But I can see him playing as a DM for Portsmouth or something at 40 years old. I can see him he'll do the Paul Scholes thing where he drops back, Scholes drop back from a 10 to become a 6. I can see Kane doing that because he's an incredible passer of the football. I can see him playing central midfield and staying around in the Premier League long enough to chase down Shearer's record. Yeah, he's going to have his cake and eat it too. I think he's played his career masterfully. Anyway, that was a great goal. And then Madrid go 3-2 up for half-time. Mbappe scores a great counter-attack goal. And then Real Madrid have Bayern Munich exactly where they want. It's 11 on aggregate. And by the way, if they hadn't thrown away goals, which again I think is a massive miss from Champions League, away goals made things so exciting. But no, apparently that was deemed unfair. And so that's thrown away. Okay, if you think that's unfair, I'll tell you what I think is actually unfair. I think it's unfair going to extra time in a Champions League knockout match. Or indeed a playoff match. Because guess what, lads? The whole point about a two-legged game is that it's fair. You play one game in your home stadium, and the opposition plays one game in their home stadium. Except what happens when extra time comes in is that a team gets to play an extra half an hour with home advantage. Meaning that it's not fair anymore. This isn't a 50-50 opportunity for both clubs. Oh no, one team gets, what, a third or a quarter, a fifth longer, a fifth of an advantage? An extra half an hour? I don't know what that is. A fifth, probably, right? I wasn't good at maths, but they have an extra half an hour with more weight in their favor. So I think if you really want to make things really fair, you scrap extra time. You absolutely. I mean, it reminds me of the the Thierry Henry handball which cheated Ireland at the World Cup. Yeah, that was poor. That was a terrible decision. But that should have gone straight to penalties after 90 minutes. But no, instead, we got to play 90 minutes in Dublin and 120 in Paris. How is that fair? How is that fair at all? It's not. And that handball only came because, again, Thierry Henry cheated it, but also because Ireland legs tired. So anyway, bring back the away goals. That is my point. But yeah, then it all hinges on this. Again, if there are away goals, Madrid would have been shutting up shop, probably going 5 at the back and seeing out a 3-2 win to take them through. But instead, they were gearing up for extra time. And then Camavinga gets sent off for being a brainless, headless chicken by throwing the ball away. I know Real Madrid are in uproar right now and they're screaming how this is a terrible decision. It spoiled the game. But I mean, what do you expect? It's what Real Madrid managers are supposed to say. Because they know that if they exit the Champions League, more often than not, it will cost them their jobs. Although Arbeloa is probably absolutely devastated. But to be fair, I don't think you should have this job in the first place, mate. I think the club should have just stuck with Xabi Alonso because guess what? These are the games where you need a proper tactician when you're coming up against a world-class bunch of players like Bayern Munich, against a top manager like Vincent Kompany. And I'm going to tell you this. I think if you still had Alonso at the wheel, I think he would have tactically navigated you through to the semi-finals. I think Bayern Munich could be out. And so it's quite ironic. It's quite ironic that you're in this mess because you gave up on an actual tactician, a manager who actually wants to get out the tactics board instead of just doing with the Ancelotti thing of giving everyone a hug and telling everyone to go and play with a smile on your face. Yeah, crazy. But yeah, anyway, Camavinga gets sent off and he's got no one else to blame but himself. Yeah, maybe. I mean, Arbeloa said that in a game like this, a referee shouldn't be handing out a second yellow for something like this, and that there should be common sense. No, I'll tell you who should have common sense. It is the player throwing away a football with 4 minutes left when the game is on a knife edge. Ridiculous behaviour. Anyway, Luis Diaz scores a sensational equaliser to put Bayern ahead on the tie. And again, just another reminder how Liverpool were so foolish to get rid of him. It almost felt like Liverpool, as a club, I can't say for the fans, but Liverpool as a club felt like they were always wishing Luis Diaz out the door. It always felt like they felt they could do better than him, that he wasn't an exciting enough of a signing, that he was just someone they bought from the Portuguese league, and yeah, he could score a few wonder goals here and there, but didn't have the consistency, and so wanted him out the door to try and, it almost felt like he was a they were still hung up in Sadio Mane and the magic of him. And Diaz always felt like a poor imitation. But yeah, it almost felt like Liverpool as a club weren't ever that excited by him. And it was never a priority to tie him down to a long contract. And so when he was making, when he was waffling about, he had his dad waffling about him potentially going to Barcelona one day, no one in the club seemed that bothered. But yeah, I mean, I bet you regret it now, because at Bayern Munich, he could be about to win the treble. And he's an absolute miss for Liverpool. Honestly, you should not have wished him away. And then Michael Olise, the cherry on the top, scores a sensational last-minute winner against Real Madrid, the moment of his career. And then the camera cuts to Thogden. Yeah, what a way to puncture a massive Champions League moment by flashing straight to the only person in the stadium who didn't support either Bayern Munich or Real Madrid. Like, the cameraman had one job, pick up the joy of Bayern Munich fans. Not the guy from Bolton, not a Bolton fan who's only there to shove a camera in everyone's face. Like, look, he's a good kid, Theo. I've met him once before. He was very hyperactive. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's not a Bayern Munich fan. Get the camera off him. He's got his own camera. He doesn't need another one. But anyway, great win for Bayern Munich. Absolutely terrific. And wow, PSG versus Bayern in the next round is going to be absolutely mouth-watering. All right, next game was PSG beating Liverpool. Again, very similar to the first leg. So I think if I put this on the main channel, I would just be repeating myself. PSG were good. They were efficient. They probably let Liverpool control the ball a bit too much. But the Reds, despite not giving up and going for it, especially in the first half, roared on by the epic Anfield crowd. By the way, that is what I will say. I think the Liverpool fans, by the sound of it, they sounded immense, okay? They knew that they have seen enough absolute miracle comebacks at this stadium on a European night, and they were fully they were really trying to cheer on this team and trying to recreate the magic of Barcelona 2019 or Borussia Dortmund 2016, Olympiacos 2004. The fans were absolutely incredible, and I think they carried those players in the first half. It's just that Arne Slot chose to start Isak. Isak, who is just coming back off a broken leg. This man loves him so much, and you know what? I think Slot is kind of a little bit of him is kind of relieved that Hugo Ekitike is busted his Achilles, because he never really wanted the Frenchman as his main striker this season. Absolutely not. The whole club were basically told Newcastle last July, take Hugo Ekitike and give us Isak. Go on, here's Ekitike, take him before we do and give us Isak. They only really wanted one elite striker, and now you got your wish. And it's an unfit Isak who cannot last more than 45 minutes in a row. It's mad. I have a feeling this is really bad news for the Reds in the race for Champions League football. Because just relying on a one-legged Isak, who might not be the same. And by the way, he looked terrible in that first half. He touched the ball 5 times. His movement was horrific. Even when he had a one-on-one chance, he was in an offside position, so it would have counted. But he still barely got any touch on the ball. I think Liverpool fans are going to be in for a really gross month. Poor old Ekitike. Even before the Isak injury, it felt like Slot was really trying to prioritise the Swedish striker. He would drop Ekitike when he could and focus on Isak. Isak was his dream signing, and justice for Ekitike. I think he deserved better. But look, I think Liverpool showed a lot of spirit in that first half, but they just could not break down PSG. And look, I know the fans will cry about that penalty that was overturned. I think it was very soft. I wouldn't have given that. I'm not surprised it was overturned. And look, PSG deserved to go through over the 2 legs. Dembele had a pretty quiet first half, but hey, he was clinical in the second half, scored a couple of great goals, and yeah, Liverpool are out, and PSG are going to be one hell of a team to beat. And then what was the other game? So there was Arsenal versus Sporting. I'll be honest, I did not watch this game. Don't think I missed much. Don't think I missed much at all. But wow, what a gruesome couple of legs this looked. 1-0 in aggregate. A last-minute winner from Kai Havertz. If he didn't pop up with that late winner in Portugal, this could have gone to extra time and penalties. And just from 3 years ago, the Gunners could have had their European season ended by Sporting. Yeah, I mean, remember when Pedro Goncalves scored from like the halfway line against Aaron Ramsdale? Yeah, there was none of that nuttiness this time out. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal are through. Arsenal are through. It's unconvincing. It's ugly, but they don't care. And you know what? This two-legged quarterfinal probably was a throwback to 2006, where Arsenal were really weak in the Premier League. Their invincible run had gone a couple of years earlier, and they were crumbling on the road multiple times against any physical mid-table team, really. Whether it be West Ham, Bolton, Blackburn, they'd get beaten up at all these teams. Newcastle, but in the Champions League, Arsene Wenger somehow stumbled upon a rock-solid defence, even though they didn't have particularly great defenders. Gael Clichy at left back. Sol Campbell, who'd lost his head after a meltdown at halftime against West Ham in February. But to be fair, they somehow managed to grind out all of these 1-0 wins on aggregate. Like, they went through against Real Madrid after, a 1-0 win in Spain and a 0-0 at home, just like here. They played Villarreal in the semi-final, won the first leg 1-0, drew the second leg 0-0. Raquelme missed a late penalty. So this is really a throwback to the last time the Gunners reached the Champions League final. It's almost like Mikel Arteta has taken a leaf out of Wenger's diary from that year. So yeah, the main thing is that Arsenal through. I don't think they really care about anything else. And then the other game, what was the game? Atletico Madrid versus Barcelona. Okay, this was the one game which was nothing like the first leg, because Barcelona won this game 2-1, and Ademola Lookman, I guess, scored the winning goal on the night. The consolation on the night, but the winning goal overall. And wow, what a career comeback this man has had. Like, the fact that Everton and Fulham and Leicester all had him in the team, and none of them appreciated what they had. Even England, he's a London kid. England could do with him on the wing. He's turned into an absolute quality beast. And look, this former Waterloo kid had the night of his life. He scored a Europa League final hat-trick for Atalanta in Dublin. Incredible. But after that, things were getting really messy last season when he was really trying to get a move to Inter Milan. A dream move to Inter Milan. Come on, Champions League finalists. Humiliated Champions League finalists, but still a massive club. And you can absolutely see why just some small kid from London would have absolutely loved to secure a move to San Siro, which is why he went on strike at Atalanta. Now, when he didn't get that move, when he was forced to go back to Atalanta, we've seen so many times in the past, things don't work out, and you never get... If you don't close in on that dream move when the opportunity presents itself, you'll never get anything better after that. And the best, I thought Luka was going to have to leave Atalanta for a Spurs or something like that, or an Aston Villa, or just something for something that isn't Inter Milan. Guys, he's got himself an even better move. I bet he's absolutely secretly delighted that move to Inter Milan collapsed, because right now, he's at a much, look, I don't want to say better football club, but he's in a more serious team. Like, this Atletico team could realistically win the Champions League this season, and it wouldn't even be that big a shock. And he's become a key player for Diego Simeone, like an absolutely dream move for the guy. And look, Barcelona can feel unlucky, but again, they've been knocked out of the Champions League by Diego Simeone for the third time, but it's ill discipline. A red card in both legs. What can you expect when you've got naivety like that? So, look, Atletico Madrid are through, and they're going to be an absolutely, really tough task for Arsenal. And I think a tougher task for Arsenal than what an open Barcelona would have been. All right, that is the end of the video. Enjoy the video. Don't forget to like ways. I'll waffle you in a while.